Hello and welcome in, everybody, to this week's edition of GC Live, Foul Balls. As always, I'm joined with my co-host, the Colossus of Clout, Collyn Taylor. Collyn, how we doing?
I'm here. I'm glad that I had Sunday to kind of recoup a little bit, and I'm not thankful to cover 21-inning doubleheaders, but I am thankful that I got to wake up on Sunday and not have to go over to Founders Park. Not that I don't love it over there, but we're here. We're here now, and I'm in the midst of baseball and hoops transfer portal recruiting and spring ball. So we are living the dream at this point in time. So
yeah, and I mean, who doesn't love a rainy day? Honestly, I kind of love the storms. It was nice.
Sip some coffee, get some work done.
Pop open the window.
Yeah, there are worse ways to live. Ways to live. So before we hop in, because there is a ton to talk about with this team and the storylines, and it's a top 10 South Carolina team, straight up top 10 South Carolina. But before we get into any of that, Clint Hammond of Movement Mortgage Network, 803-771. You see all of that stuff. You're going to see it across our things. The branch manager, Movement Mortgage Network. If you're buying a home, if you're selling a home, Clint is the guy you want to talk to for that. He is fantastic, title sponsor and everything that we do over at GC Live with our YouTube. You see all of his information right there. Take a screenshot, jot it down real quick. Absolutely fantastic. You see his NMLS number right there. We know buying a home can be stressful. We know selling a home can be stressful. Clint's there to help take some of that stress off of you. We ask you to support the people that support us, and Clint is an absolutely fantastic Gamecock and a supporter of all things Gamecock Central. So if you're in the need, which everyone at some point in their life is going to be, give Clint a call and he'll help hook you up with the best rates and the most help possible, because he just loves helping and loves helping Gamecocks out.
Yeah, absolutely. That is our guy, Clint Hammond. And if you need his number, it is also at the top of the screen.
You're going to see it.
Everywhere. Everywhere. Absolutely. Collyn, I did also want to introduce, we also have another guest. He's going to be helping out with the foul balls. Sorry, I'm still transitioning from basketball to baseball.
I've never stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be joined by our friend Jack Veltri. Jack, what's up, brother?
What's going on, guys? Always good to join you guys for this. So thanks for having me on.
Is that a Tatooine thing in the background there?
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
It is. That's just the beginning. So but
I understand. I still haven't, you and I have texted a bunch about Mandalorian. I still have not watched episodes 3 and 4. I watched episode 2, but I have not seen episodes 3 and 4 yet. So I need to.
I was pretty harsh on episode 4. Heard a lot about it on Twitter. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll give it a rewatch and we'll see how it is. But yeah, definitely give it a watch, Collyn. It's pretty solid.
Sounds good. And to transition smoothly, do you know who's a huge Star Wars fan, like massive Star Wars fan? That is one Ethan Petrie, Silver Slugger on this South Carolina. I'll have to go back and listen. He went on the Guard at Trust Hour with Wes and Chris and gave his rankings of it all, and I have so many issues with his rankings and how it plays out, which can be an entirely new show when we're talking to Ethan at some point soon. But Ethan Petrie and this offense were good, not great, I would say, over the course of the weekend. But South Carolina, with a massive sweep over Missouri, you're talking about a team right now that is 23-2 and 6-0 in the SEC for the first time since 2016. Which was, coincidentally enough, the year they won the SEC East, were in conversations to be a national seed. They were a top 16 seed. They were not a national seed, and played for a chance to go to Omaha. They were in a super regional, lost to a red-hot Oklahoma State team, the kind of coming-out party for Josh Holiday over there with the Pokes. But massive series win, series sweep in dramatic fashion over Missouri, a good Missouri team. Gentlemen, since I know both of you watched and or were there over the course of the weekend, what were your thoughts as South Carolina goes in there, offensively speaking, and finds a way to scrap and claw and get some 3 much-needed W's on this record?
Yeah, Collyn, I mean, offensively, this team was gritty. I mean, I think for the first time this season, and we had seen it against Clemson a little bit, but against a really good opponent, this offense was able to generate runs when they needed to. They looked great in the box. I mean, taking good pitches, taking walks when they need to, not really any strikeouts in moments that really mattered a whole bunch. It was really, really gritty performance from this offense. And I mean, to win in walk-off fashion twice, it says a lot about where this team is, where the heart is on this team too. And they're gelling together so well. I think the chemistry's way up, and the offense is, showing that. These guys are able to string together at bats and just, again, like I said, very, 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 very gritty. Like we saw it, and it's hard to win, a series in the SEC, let alone sweep. So to be able to do that in back-to-back weekends, I think it says a lot. Gamecock home run tracker keeps going up and up and up and up. Hashtag, and then follow me on Twitter. You get all your Gamecock home run tracker content. But 64 home runs, still leading Division I. They finally surpassed the mark this weekend with the mark that they set all of last year.
Yes.
58, which is nuts. I mean, you're 2 weeks into SEC play and you're already passing the home run total from last season. Collyn, Jack, I think that's pretty good.
I would agree. Sources say.
Yeah, sources are telling me that's pretty good. So, I mean, it's just all around gritty performance. Again, this team showed that they're not going to go down without a fight, and that they are just better than you. Up and down the board. And so I was really impressed again with the fight in this team. I'm really, really excited to see, what happens when a higher ranked team comes into Founders and, you have better pitching. But once you get to that bullpen, man, I mean, these bats just come alive and they fight tooth and nail to the very end.
Yeah. Great weekend overall. I think you took every word just out of my mouth there, Joe. But it's a big difference from Tuesday, I would say. I was there, and I think they struck out maybe 13 times. So, and the walks have been there too, which has been a big thing this season, getting hit by pitches and all that. But honestly, I mean, just like you said, I love the never say die mentality. If this team kind of feels like the one from 2 years ago, and I know our special guest later could probably, harken back to those times, but I just remember them just, always fighting till the end, never quitting. And I mean, they had like what felt like a bajillion walk-offs. So, this team showed a lot of spirit, and I think that's something you need in this conference at the end of the day. They're able to compete with these big teams so far in the SEC, but you're going to need to have that grit and fight down the stretch, and we'll see what happens. I think they're set up for success with the mentality they've been playing with. So,
and I think one of the big things. I mean, we love to talk about the home runs and the admiring the home runs and just the power that this team hits with, which is fair. I think I want to say they're through 2 weekends in SEC play because I was doing the math on it today. I was looking at it today. You're talking about South Carolina. I'm reading the story that I did. Through 2 weekends in SEC play, they're third in batting average, third in on-base percentage, and second in slugging, which is great. Like, great, what you want. But when they needed to manufacture, when it was time to scrap and claw and get on base and score when you need to, they did. They won that game on Friday, and then they won game 3. The innings in which they won it, they had 0 extra base hits. 0. They went – I mean, you're talking about – and each rally started with a full count walk. Gavin Costas walked on a full count to start that. And then – reminded me of Will Tippett walked on a full count, and then Gavin Costas walked on a full count in one of them. However that one worked, but it was 2 full count walks that kind of kick-started that run, and that was the impressive part of – hey, we need something, the ball bounces your way, you get a drop third strike, you get a catcher that slips and allows the runner to advance after that. But the ball drops, but you still found ways to get on base. You still found ways to put the ball in play and force the defense to make a play in a raucous environment. And that's what's so impressive to me is that they were able to piece together. Yes, the home runs got them there. You got big bombs from Petrie and McGillis and Hornung and all these guys, and Costas had a huge day Saturday from a power standpoint in game one, but you found ways to just scrap and claw and get after it, and when you desperately needed to, and that's the part that I think offensively you have to be pleased with for South Carolina. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Collyn, you know what else was spectacular was the pitching this weekend.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty darn good, man. I mean, the staff showed once again why it is one of the best in the country. Again, we talked about how gritty the bats were and how they got it done. But, I mean, this pitching just, came in, locked hitters down, especially in those late innings. Wouldn't have been possible if your relievers and your bullpen are giving up runs in those extra inning games when you need them most.
Yeah, it was the difference in the series, how deep that pitching staff was. I'm trying to do the math in my head. You got 7.2 innings combined from your Friday and Sunday starters, game one and game three. If that bullpen's thin, especially on a doubleheader day where you're playing 3 games in 2 days, I don't know if they win that third game. And that third game was the epitome of of the depth South Carolina has versus the depth Missouri didn't have, to where South Carolina's trotting out dude after dude after dude after dude, and Missouri's relying on their starting center fielder to have to throw 60 pitches. And that just it doesn't go well at the end. He just runs out of gas, and you're able to take advantage of it. So this South Carolina bullpen this weekend, because I did the math on this one too, they threw 15 and a third innings. They had 26 strikeouts, 6 walks, 1.3 whip, and a 2.35 ERA. That's dominant. Chris Veach strikes out 7. All 7 outs he recorded were via the strikeout. He strikes out 7 of the 8 he faced. Austin Williamson looked really good, and will have he seems like one of those guys that's going to be a 1 inning here, 2 innings there kind of guy, but looked really good in that late inning situation. And we'll talk about Becker, but Kate Austin, after not pitching last weekend at Georgia, comes in and just fastball change-ups everyone to death, and gets, I think him and Chris Veach combined for 10 strikeouts over the course of 26 of the strikeouts.
It's pretty good.
10 of them were from Veach and from Austin. So it's a bullpen. Now, Noah Hall, we'll talk about Noah.
Yeah, I'll get into Noah Hall.
but that bullpen is so doggone good that you can survive when Will Sanders doesn't give you his best outing, and when Jack Mahoney is quite literally battling a stomach bug, trying to go out there and gut through innings. And that's what's impressive to me, is that you're able to withstand 2. Mahoney's start was good, but he didn't go long. Sanders' start was not good. Yeah. But you're able to withstand that because of the depth you have at bullpen, in that bullpen. And that's what I feel like is really impressive to me, is that you're just able to trot out dude after dude after dude after dude in that bullpen and really make it work.
Yeah, Collyn, I mean, we talk about it every single week. The fact that their bullpen is filled with guys who could start for other teams in the country. I mean, I feel like we've said it every week, have we not? And
one of your best arms was your worst performing one of the weekend, where Jers comes in and doesn't play well, doesn't pitch well. And everybody else is – if Matthew Becker pitches like that through the rest of – I don't know if he's going to be that good again. I think he'll be good. Don't get me wrong.
Yep. But
the way he pitched with that level of confidence, if you mimic that, this bullpen goes from really good, like top 15 in the country, to maybe being the best bullpen in America. When you sit back and really think about it. So if Matthew Becker pitches like that after being inconsistent through the first stretch, he's got this pitching staff is already really impressive. It's got a chance to be even better and even more special than what it already is. Yeah,
I was really impressed with Becker. He had really good command. His curveball looked as good as it ever has.
It's the best curveball on the team.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Like it's nasty. I, would not want to be Cole Messina trying to catch that thing.
No.
I mean, because you're in for a long day. So shout out Moose for even, giving his best shot trying to catch that thing.
Can we talk about the clip that circulated?
Yes, I was going to say, talk about Becker, but talk about Moose, but finish.
The chest punch, and then
it was perfect.
The premature celebration. The ball goes off the end of the bat, and Moose just, fist pumps, and he was jacked up, ready to go. I mean, that was impressive. This is a fun team, man. It's fun. It is. Whatever happens this year, it's a team that truly enjoys being around each other.
Yes.
That's something that's really impressive. And I don't know if you could have said that about the 2022 team at times, just because winning's fun, man, and it's easier to be around dudes when you're 23-2 versus going through so many injury situations. But they made an effort this year to be more cohesive, to be a better team, and they're having fun doing it. And it helps when you're have 23 wins in your first 25 games, but very impressed with how this team's kind of coalesced, and they've exceeded my expectations I thought they'd be good, but they've truly exceeded my expectations when it comes to what that looks like for South Carolina.
Yeah. And I think it all starts, it starts with the bats, obviously, because you got to score runs to win games. But when this pitching staff is as cohesive as the rest of the team is, it's contagious, man. It really is. You talk about this team being fun. It really carries on throughout, the rest of the team, right? The pitching staff, we've seen, how in the dark, they get up for each other and how excited they are when somebody else comes in to pitch. I think about it a lot. In baseball, you have to have that locker room chemistry, or else you're going nowhere. And I think it's, one of the understated things in college baseball. Collyn, another two guys I actually wanted to bring up from this weekend, Chris Veach and Kate Austin pitching twice on the same day.
That's the one.
Good.
They're the confidence in which they pitch is really impressive. And just the swagger they have on the mound, and they're throwing nasty stuff. Don't get me wrong, but you walk on the mound and they act like they own it. And that's part of the reason why this staff's so good, is because of the confidence they're pitching with, and they have every right to be. They're one of the best pitching staffs in the country. It's really, really cool to see. And for Veach and Austin both I was skeptical because Mark Kingston and Justin Parker put in Kate Austin in a 7-run game in the first game of the doubleheader. And I was like, I don't know about this, man. Bring in somebody else at 7 runs. You might need Kate for that second game to go 2 innings or something like that, just because Hicks couldn't go. He threw 52 pitches on Friday, so you're not trying to trot him back out there on a no day's rest. So I was like, do you really want to pitch him here? Is he able to go again? And then him and Veach both come back from that first game, and we're lights out, just electric both times. And that says a lot about them and their preparation and arm care, but it also says a lot about just the stuff that they have to where they're able to go out and do that. And South Carolina has confidence in them to do that. So every pitcher on this staff, outside of maybe Will Sanders, had just an elite weekend. Noah Hall, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned, 10 Ks. Just impressive, man.
Yeah. There's nothing you can say about it, really. It's ridiculous. SEC pitcher of the week. What he is doing is very on brand with Noah Hall, but we saw what he could do last season. And it's just amplified this season. He's just stepped his game up that much more. It's been, night and day. He's just, and we talk about how much swagger this pitching staff has, Collyn. Noah Hall goes up there with his best stuff and is like, beat me at my own game. Try and hit it, because you're not.
I'm filling the zone, and these suckers are going to move, and you're not going to know what they're doing. His changeup has more spin than his fastball. That's how good he is, and it moves. It's hard to hit. He's got a cutter that he can mix into at times, and it's just pick your poison with him because he can ratchet up. He was up to 95, 96 on Saturday. Yeah, and that was a good Missouri offense. And Missouri offense that I was really impressed with, and he does that again. It's tough to hit, man. He was elite down the stretch of SEC play. He's been elite to start the season. You got really tough offenses coming up in a couple of your next series, and we'll talk about what's looming for South Carolina. But really impressed with what I saw from them, and just he sets the tone. He sets the tone, and then that bullpen follows suit. And when that happens, it's a tough offense to hit. It's tough to put any kind of any real momentum together offensively.
It really is. It's and it also too brings up the question because you have your most dominant pitcher being on Saturday so far, at least, in Noah Hall, and Jack Mahoney has also been shoving. But I mean, it does bring up the question: what do you do with the rotation now with Will Sanders and his struggles? Do you change it? Do you not? Collyn, Jack, I want your take on this before I chime in before we get to our pitchers of the series.
Yeah. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary, I would say, to potentially move Sanders. After all, last year with the injuries and stuff, Sanders he started out on Fridays and then got moved to Sunday, and then Noah Hall is your Friday guy. It wouldn't shock me to see Mark Kingston do something like that again. He's kind of strayed away from doing that so far. Rocking with Sanders on Friday, Hall on Saturday, Mahoney on Sunday. I feel like maybe this weekend could be the weekend where we see maybe Hall on Friday to start. And then, honestly, if I were Mark, I would go Sanders on Sunday. Let Mahoney, if he's, back to feeling 100%, let him go Saturday. Let's see what happens. I think you're at a point where, not to say don't do this all year, but I think you're at a point where you can mix things around and try new things and see where it goes. And if it works, then keep it going. But, if not, then I guess you can go back to what was, before. But we'll see. We'll see. I could see them definitely making a shift this weekend.
The tricky part with all of it is you jump from Friday, Saturday, really just Friday, Saturday, to now you're going Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What does that look like? Can you move Noah Hall 2 days up, or do you start if you want to shake it up? Which I'm a proponent right now of keeping it just the way it is, and at some point Sanders is going to be Sanders. But do you start Hicks on Thursday and keep boop 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 and keep Hall and Mahoney in their typical rotation? But that's where I kind of fall with it. And if you do that, then it's still a really good pitching staff, regardless if you start Hicks, Sanders, Hall, Mahoney, whatever that looks like. And you got options. And that's the beauty compared to what last year was. You have options that you can start with.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think it's flexible. Obviously, Noah's probably the best pitcher that you have right now. I would like to – my only tweak that or something that I wouldn't change was I'd leave Jack on Sunday. I think he brings as much emotion as you could ask for. He is your Sunday guy. If you're trying to close out a series, you need a guy with that kind of emotion to be your Sunday starter. You really need him to be there. And just, I don't know, you just need that kind of emotion on the mound to kind of will your team over the line. If it is a series clinching game, you want that fire from your starting pitcher. So I would leave Jack on Sunday. But you guys want to get into pitchers of the series before we get to our guest?
You know what? Let's go. If our guest is in the waiting room, I say let's go straight to our guest.
All right, let's do it.
Do it.
We would like to bring on our esteemed guest, Mr. Andrew Eyester. Andrew, how we doing, boss?
We're doing good, man. We're just sitting here on the island of our apartment in beautiful Irmo, South Carolina, hometown of Collyn Taylor. Just chilling.
I still promised you a home cooked meal at my parents' house that I need.
Either that or we can go on a Makino's date.
Oh, now you're just like spreading all the best kept secrets of Irmo over the course.
Yeah, we don't want everyone showing up there when we want to go.
No, yeah, I still laugh because my family doesn't like it as much as I do.
Oh my gosh, I love that place.
Michaela and I love it, and we took them there for like a birthday or something, and they were like, I don't know, like, and I'm like, what?
I mean, where else can you get good hibachi for like $10?
Yeah. Yeah, trust me. I've had that conversation. I'm like, you sure? Like, and they're like, yeah, we just don't know.
It was hard for us to or it's hard to kind of move away from hibachi house. That was one of the staples in Columbia.
There you go.
We found a good replacement.
I got you. Well, we appreciate you taking 10, 15 minutes to come and hang out and talk Gamecock baseball with us after spending a decade. Was it a decade?
It was close. It was about. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here. Yeah,
we appreciate you hopping on, and we know you know this team pretty well. You obviously on this team, last year's team with a bunch of guys who are making big impacts this year. What's it been like, first and foremost, sitting on the other side of the netting, and how much fun has it been to just kind of see these guys play the way they've been playing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a ton of fun. You know, opening day was a little bittersweet, and you know, there's definitely times where I miss being out there and I wish I was, but I've definitely enjoyed being around here and getting to be in the stands for most of the home games, especially on the weekends. But you know, there is a certain amount of jealousy for how well these guys are playing right now, and you know, I would give a lot to have had the opportunity to play on this team, because it looks like they're having a ton of fun out there, and just the amount of success they're having. You know, it's really not something that I got to experience in my decade wearing the garnet and black, but I'm happy for these guys, man. They're having a ton of fun, and it's enjoyable for me to go out there and watch them.
You might have had to play left field with the way Petri's been swinging it. You would have had to shift it somewhere else at this point.
If I was back for a 6th year, I'd probably prefer to DH.
Yeah, yeah. You get the golf. You know, you get the golf on the off days and all that.
Exactly. These legs are tired, man.
Yeah. A lot of these, yes, it's transfer portal heavy. You got your Caleb Dennings, your all of the Gavin Cossases of the world, but Cole Messina, Talmadge LeCroy, or Leroy, as you guys like to call him. Carson Horning, to a degree, he's kind of a platoon guy right now. But a lot of these dudes that you were on the team with last year who struggled maybe as freshmen are playing huge roles. What's it been like? What did you see from them last year that you were like, okay, like these guys have a chance? And how nice has it been to see the Mooses, the LeCroys of the world playing as well as they're playing right now?
Yeah, it's been awesome, you know, especially for those two guys. You know, kind of going into the last year, they were kind of opposites coming into the fall. You know, Cole, you know, everyone knew was a big time prospect, and he really showed it in the fall. And you know, he really played his butt off in the fall, really hit the ball well. And then, you know, he had his injury, had his elbow surgery, and you know, came back and really struggled. You know, I know he went through a lot mentally and just trying to get back to where he was. And I know that was a struggle for him last year. So to see him playing as good as he is really awesome. He's a great dude. And you know, I'm lucky enough to call him a friend, and seeing him the way he's been playing is really cool. And you know, Talmadge, he was, you know, you could tell in the fall, you could tell that there was something there. But, you know, for a while, he just kind of looked, you know, he just looked like a high school guy, you know, who's coming into the SEC from, you know, playing at a small little high school in the middle of BFE, South Carolina. And you know, he just, you know, completely flipped the switch, and, you know, was a really nice contributor last year for us. And, you know, to see how he's continued to improve has been really cool too. I mean, he's, you know, playing pretty much a lights out third base, and getting a bunch of hits as well, hitting for a little bit of power and just getting on base. And I mean, he's just kind of a dirt bag. You know, you put him wherever you need him, and he's gonna play solid defense and put together some good at bats. So it's been really cool seeing those two guys. And then obviously Carson, he had some big moments for us last year. And there's other guys too, man. We could talk about a bunch of guys, but those two guys in particular, it's been cool seeing them this year.
Yo, what you got for a guy?
I love it. Ice. So kind of asking about, a slump, really. We've seen a couple guys on this team that have been slumping. They've been in and out of a slump here or there. Stone, Caleb Denny in particular. How would you go about busting a slump when you're hitting? And what were some ways you kind of bring yourself mentally to kind of get out of it? And what are you looking to see from some of these guys that are, slumping right now?
Yeah, I mean, for Evan, I was awesome seeing him hit a couple home runs the other day, having never have hit one in college before. And
another Irmo kid. Go Fox.
Yeah, another Irmo kid.
Another Irmo kid, yeah.
But seeing him hit 2 in one game, that was incredible. So I know he was happy. I know his parents were happy. His whole family, I'm sure, was there. So that was really cool. So I'm hoping for him that'll kind of be a turnaround and he'll start playing like we all know he can. But I mean, just for, when you're struggling, kind of the instinctual thing to do is to try to change. Well, I'm struggling and I'm doing this. I'm struggling. Let's try something different. And your mind wants you to do that, and everything in you is telling you to change. But you just got to stick with what's gotten you to this point. I mean, all those guys can play. That's why they're here. And so, it's baseball. You go through slumps, and some of it's just dumb luck at some points. So, I guess that would be my biggest piece of advice. And after all the years of playing, I definitely went through some slumps, but just keep doing what you're doing, and there's no need to change what got you to this point.
And I think the ultimate slump buster is me asking about you in a press conference, because I think I did that. I think I did that once with Brady. I asked, hey, like Brady, hadn't been hitting all that well in 21. I was like, do you sit him? Do you try to move him down in the order? What's the plan? And Kingston was like, nothing. We're gonna keep putting that guy at the leadoff spot. He's gonna get there for us. And
sure enough.
And I think that was that Kentucky series where he hit 700 and 3 bombs, and then I want to say I asked about you once. And
I remember you did. I don't remember when that was exactly.
I think it was before the Clemson series, that one where you had 2 walk-offs in 2 games.
That might have been it.
So I might have to ask about Denny this week and be like, do you just sit him for a game or 2 just to kind of get him that? So we'll see what
that kid's a hell of a ball player, man. I mean, he can. You saw what he's doing, in preseason and in the beginning of the season. Like, he can hit, man. It's just. It's so tough on you, especially, I think it's his senior year. I'm sure he's, looking forward to, going on to play pro ball. And I remember it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress that you put on yourself. And when you're going through a skid or going through a slump, it's tough to just go in there and play every day and not worry and not stress. I know that feeling. So, but he's a good ball player, so he'll find his way out of it.
I know you haven't gotten a chance to work with Monty Lee, and he comes in after you leave, but I don't think people are talking enough about the credit Chad Kaye got last year for just trying to, obviously you guys were really young outside of you, Wim, Seitler, and Belt. And he was actually really responsible for bringing a lot of the transfer guys in. Yeah. How much credit do you think a guy like Coach Kaye deserves, and maybe leaving the cupboard a little bit better than what he inherited, and kind of the foundation he helped lay with guys like a Wimmer, guys like the sophomores that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he was a huge part of obviously last year, and and the successes that we had at some points, not overall as a season, but he's also responsible for a lot of the success that these guys are having this year as well. I mean, he was our hitting coach for a year, and it's tough to come into a brand new environment and brand new players, brand new people that you're not familiar with, and it usually takes more than a year to get accustomed to that. So. But yeah, you definitely got to give him some credit, especially for what these guys are doing this year, because a lot of these guys are people that, he was their first hitting coach in college. So, I mean, what it seems like what he's brought to the team is really great, culturally and, offensively. But definitely, I think some credit goes out to Coach Kai as well.
Still didn't lead the league in delayed steals, though, did you?
No, I don't think me and stolen bases are ever going to be mentioned in the same conversation.
I would see. Now I have to go look at it. Joe, ask your question. I'm going to look up Andrew's steals and stolen bases that he had over his career.
I don't know if delayed steals. I don't know if that's an official category.
We'll check stolen
Collyn
bases.
will find it. Collyn has so many freaking stats. It's ridiculous.
He does have the most random stats. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's in there.
It's ridiculous. He probably has it somewhere. But the boys are traveling to Mississippi State in your decade of playing here. What do you remember from playing at Mississippi State, and then what are you looking forward to seeing from the boys this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that weekend at Mississippi State was probably the most electric baseball environment that I've ever played in front of. That was my sophomore year, so that was my first year at Carolina. We were on the brink of making or not making the SEC tournament. We lost first 2 games of the series. And then played a good game Sunday. I think did Brett start on Sunday?
Brett, yeah, that was that Saturday game with Brett. Yeah.
Yeah. Brett started. I know we had a few homers, had a good day offensively, and by winning that last game we made it to the SEC tournament. But I mean that year they had Jake Mangum, they had Tanner Allen,
Some killers.
They had
That was an Omaha one. I think that was. They had that nasty reliever, that redheaded guy that threw sidearm. Yeah, I remember him.
Was it Lee Ball or something? That dude was great.
That sounds about right.
The JT Ginn throwing. I mean, that was a good team. So I mean, that was a super, super fun weekend. I played left that weekend, and I mean, the fans were rowdy, but they were cool though. They were super cool. They were they're giving me food. I had some like pork tenderloin, some chicken, they actually gave me a brownie. They gave me a brownie too. And I remember I ate that brownie and I was like, maybe just in case. We're about getting ready to head the SEC tournament. You never know. If there's NCAA guys might actually That was good. It was fine. It was fine. But I had a good weekend, so I think I had their respect, and so they were super cool to me. But that's the most fun place to play in college baseball, and I know
outside of Founders Park.
Aside from Founders Park.
Yeah, I wanted to save you a little bit.
Yes, I appreciate that. The most fun road environment in college baseball, but I don't know about this weekend. I know they're really struggling, so hopefully they can get a good crowd still, and those guys get to experience what it's like to play there because it's really cool.
How do you mentioned the struggling part? Obviously, you guys pay attention to the standings and what a team's record is, and when you're going into a place knowing a team might not have a gaudy record or something like that, how do you stay focused and not go, oh, well, it's a team that's 14-11 or whatever Mississippi State's overall record is, 0-6 in the SEC. We should roll over them. Is it easier said than done at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to SEC play, anything can happen, and we've experienced it, lots of times where, we might have been the extreme underdog, like last year against Vanderbilt. I don't know if at that point many of us expected that to happen. And we've had our games, had our series where everyone was expecting us to win and we didn't. And it's especially in SEC play, there's you can't go in with the mindset of, oh, this is an easy weekend, because a team like Mississippi State, although they're struggling, they're talented and they have the ability to put up 10, 15 runs and shut you out at any time.
Right.
So it's, for before conference play starts, it especially when you're going to like third or fourth weekend, getting ready for SEC, it can be kind of like, oh, let's get this over with. But at this point, you definitely can't have that attitude because they could just as easily, take 2 out of 3 or sweep you, as easily as you think that you'll do that to them. So
yeah. These dudes are on scholarship too, right?
Yeah, exactly. They've got a guy throwing 95 from both
right,
left and right.
Yeah. We joked. I think John Will and I joked at one point, like at some point you just start him on Friday from the left side and then start him on Saturday from the right. Given how strapped that pitching staff's been.
I mean, everyone jokes about it, but like,
do it. He can throw 100 on one side and then 100 on another, and just get a day out. Jack, you got anything for Andrew before we let him go at some point soon and get back to living life?
Yeah, just wanted to ask you a few questions to start. With Will Sanders, obviously, he's back for his third year, the Friday night guy once again. What are your thoughts on the way he's been pitching, and what's kind of his prep work like from, what you've seen, playing with him for 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, he's super high on preparation. I mean, he's definitely one of the hardest workers and that I've been around, and really takes baseball and pitching and what he does, very seriously, and with a he puts a lot of effort into it. And I don't think, I'm sure if you asked him right now, he would probably say that he's not happy with how he's thrown, and he's not pitched as well as he would anticipated up to this point. But like everyone's been saying, he took a lot of time off, and we're lucky that we've got lots of guys behind him, 2 other really good weekend starters, and a great bullpen and a great offense. And so they've been there even when he has not been at his best. But we've all seen what that kid can do, and I just think you just got to give it a little time. We're 6-0 in SEC play up to this point. 23-2. 23-2 overall.
Yeah.
So it's things have worked out so far. But we all know what kind of player he is. We all know what kind of pitcher he is, and I just think you got to give it a little more time, and I think he'll get back to where we know that he should be and where he needs to be, and that we've seen him at before. But he's a good dude, good pitcher, and we just need to give it a little more time, in my opinion.
Weirdo in all the best ways.
Weirdo in all the best ways. That's a great way to put it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got one more for him?
Yeah, just one more. And then just wanted to ask you a little bit about Matthew Becker and Cade Austin. Obviously, you played with them last year, and they were probably, some of the better guys you had on that pitching staff. What are those guys like to be around? And then just what are your thoughts on the way they've been, continuing to pitch at such a high level, now as sophomores?
Yeah, no, it's been great. Cade now, this is his third year, but he didn't pitch his freshman year. So, this is kind of like his second full year. And he's just, Cade's an awesome guy to be around, super funny. But just, he's probably, one of the few guys of last year who, when he went out, it was like, you knew he was going to do what he needed to do. He's a guy that you have a lot of trust in. And I know these guys feel the same way. Obviously one of the nastier changeups that you'll probably see around. Just a gross pitch, but he's just a competitor. He's just got a bulldog mentality. You can see the way he's up there on the mound, and that when he's on the mound, he's going to get the job done. Becker, it's been good to see him game this year. He had some really great moments last year, and then some not so great moments. But same thing with him. He's a competitor, and he wants the ball when given the opportunity, and just that was a pretty gutsy performance on, I guess it was Saturday. Was it Friday or was it?
It was Saturday, game 3.
Saturday, yeah. That's a pretty gutsy performance. Getting out of that first and third no out jam. And so, that's something that can build a lot of confidence for a guy like that. So that was great to see. But it's cool. It's cool for me, and I'm not one of them, but it's cool seeing, all these local kids contribute in such a big way. Guys who grew up Gamecock fans, grew up as kids going out to Founders Park and watching those those national championship teams play, dreaming to be here one day. So I think it's really special seeing guys like them and Evan and Talmadge and Cole, just, the homegrown guys, playing a huge part for this team. I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get you out of here on that. Tell people what you're up to nowadays, and if they need some business from you, where they can find you. I'll let you get a shameless plug in if you want. If you want it, I'll let you get a shameless plug.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm in the group benefits business now, selling group health insurance. Work with companies who are in the market to provide their employees with health benefits, health insurance, supplemental benefits, that sort of thing. Exciting stuff. We're working in Irmo. Gibson and Associates is the company name. We got a bunch of Gamecock guys there. Got Bo Mobley, played back in 2000. Lee Grokevich, stud closer, back in late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, if you guys you know anyone that needs some benefits for their company, hit me up.
There you go. Hey, I wanted to give you, if you were hopping on and giving us 15, 20 minutes of your time, I was going to let you get a shameless plug in on that.
I appreciate that.
Andrew, can't thank you enough, and we'll probably have you on at some point real soon because you killed it. Yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
Well, I look forward to it. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks, appreciate you both.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you guys. Thank you.
That was Andrew Eyester, electric as always.
I'll never forget the series last year at Florida. I'm in the press box and I get a text and it's Ice, and he's like, "Hey man, I just noticed this barbecue food truck's in center field. It's one of my favorite barbecue places. You need to go." In the dugout, like just finished BP, and so I went out. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was it.
The stories about getting the food from the Mississippi State fans, even the brownie itself, that was electric, man. I can only imagine just being out there in the outfield and just smelling all the grills around. I mean, it's probably torture. It's part of the home field advantage, I'm sure. You smell all this good food. Mississippi State, it's a Southern school, so they're making some barbecue, man.
It is one of the best fan bases in college baseball. I had so much fun going out there in 19, and I ended up sitting in the outfield. I didn't get offered a brownie, but I ended up sitting in the outfield for a little bit and watching just the game out there for a couple innings. I got offered beer 5 or 6 times, and I was like, "Guys, I'm working. I cannot be sitting here drinking with you guys while I'm working." And they're like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 100% positive." It's like, "All right, well, here, take a Diet Coke instead." But that place is unreal, how good it is, and worth every penny. Just if you can make it out there for it, make it out there for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you guys want to wrap, since it is getting close to 8, with let's throw some change up in here. Mm-hmm. We want to do hitters and pitchers of the series of the weekend.
Yep.
And then wrap up talking a little bit of what South Carolina does now without Will McGillis.
I think it sounds great. And McGillis is one of those guys too. Like we saw how big of a weekend he had. It's going to be really interesting. What's the official diagnosis? I believe it is
a broken
7 weeks.
Broken forearm. Or he has a broken bone in his arm, and he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I guess you guys want to start with that. How going about replacing Will McGillis?
Yeah. Who, for both of you, if you were filling on a lineup sheet, what does second base look like?
I think right now, I don't know. I think I go maybe Tippett right now at second, but at the same time, I mean, Braswell could play second, right? I mean, I think you gotta ride. I don't know. I think it's really going to depend over these next few weeks, kind of who's obviously hitting better, and you ride with the high hand at that point. So I think it's kind of just going to be a competition throughout these midweek games, and then over the weekend we'll see what happens. But right now, I think I'd go Tippett. I like the fact that he's a speedy guy, quick, can hit from both sides of the plate. So that's something that really benefits him. So I think we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm going to take the other end of that. I think Braswell, he showed his clutch factor in Georgia. I think he gets another shot. He's not going to be at short with Wimmer. locking down that spot. But I think, you give him another chance to kind of, work his way back into the starting lineup. He is a starting lineup caliber player when he wants to be, so I think you give him another shot. He's been doing well coming in clutch spots. And I think it'll do numbers for his confidence too if you give him the start at second. Obviously, that's not exactly where he wants to be, but to be back in the starting lineup, I'm sure would definitely do some numbers for his confidence. And I think, again, he's got a good bat. He's really, really, really good glove. We've seen that. So I think you got to go the Braswell route. Tippett's not a bad option either, but I'd give the shot to Braswell just based on what he did at Georgia and what he's shown with his bat off the bench.
I'll go a different route that includes putting Michael Braswell in the lineup, just not at second base. I moved Talmadge Lee to second, and then you slide Braswell in at third. Still gives you the same bat in the lineup, but Braswell's been more of a left side of the infield kind of player for most of his career. Allows him to kind of still hone in on some of the, getting the feel off the bat defensively from that left side more so than playing second. But it wouldn't shock me if he played second. He was taking some second reps during infield before the doubleheader on Saturday. So I could see it, but I think you move Talmadge Lecroy there just before Braswell gets so he can get more comfortable in practice doing it, and then see about switching him. But the biggest thing is now who hits leadoff based on that. But who is the guy taking the first at bat? Let's not say Tuesday, but Thursday down there in Starkville, who's getting the first at bat of the game?
It's a really, really good question. And Collyn, we've talked about it in weeks prior. Like, they're still working on this leadoff spot. And
it was a question even with McGillis healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I think, even though Stone has been slumping, if he's going to be back in the lineup consistently, I think he might be an option, let him, get back on base. But Caleb Denny, maybe he's another guy that's slumping, maybe throw Wimmer, but you need Wimmer a little bit lower, the heart of your lineup. It would be interesting to see Wimmer lead off. I'd like to see him do it. But I don't know. It's a really good question, and I'm still kind of thinking about it. But initial gut reflex would be Denny or Stone, because Stone could get on base. You can have him bunt or something like that, but I don't know if you really want to bunt with the first two out of the game. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, honestly. Kind of spitballing into an answer there, but Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think. I think you have a few options. You either leave Wimmer at the top of the order, but at the same time, I think you probably want him hitting 2, 3, because he can stroke it, he'll hit for power. Probably the unpopular pick, just the dark horse kind of pick. Going back to what we said about second base, I would throw a guy like Tippett or Evan Stone maybe, or even Michael Braswell. Don't forget, Braswell hit at the top of the order, I'm pretty sure, last year. I think he was the leadoff hitter most of the year. So why not go back to it? If he's hitting well, give it a shot. It'll just be like last year. And then, you want some speed at the top of the order, I think, and someone who can get on base, draw a walk, hit a single. And then, that provides, run scoring opportunities for your 2, 3, 4 hitters in that order. So definitely, I think whoever can get you on base and steal a base or something, get into scoring position is the guy that I think should be hitting, at leadoff. So
I'm going to say Carson Hornan.
Yeah.
Good choice as
well.
Well.
High on base guy, really good on base guy. Strikes out a good bit, but lefty bat, not the fastest guy in the world, but gives you a quality at bat more often than not. Gets on base and has some pop in the bat too, and gives you a chance to put that flexibility of a Tippett down further in the order from that switch hitter perspective. So I'll go and say Carson Hornan, but that a Michael Braswell or a Tippett could develop into a leadoff candidate down the road if Hornan struggles in that spot. So
yeah, I like it. I love it. You guys, we forgot to get to Liberty Tax, one of our other sponsors. Do you want to get
Let's go
that
Liberty Tax
before we get to the hitters and pitching?
Yeah, Liberty Tax, hitters, and then we call it wraps because we got a second half to watch. North Carolina's only up 8.
Yes, we do. We do indeed. So, as everyone knows, it is tax season. Our friends at Liberty Tax have got you covered. Tax IDs, that uncertain feeling you get it right before doing your taxes, but you don't have to go through it alone. The tax team at Liberty Tax in Irmo, Lexington, and Columbia will walk you through the process, clear up any confusion, guarantee you'll get the biggest possible refund or your money back. It's tax time. If you're in a hurry for your refund, call the tax team at Liberty Tax. Fast, accurate, and guaranteed. On the other hand, if you think you might be owing Uncle Sam, talk to the Liberty Tax team to make sure you're not paying more than you should owe. They'll find every possible deduction for you. Locally owned and operated, staffed by tax professionals from your neighborhood. Open 9 to 9 on weekdays, 9 to 5 on Saturdays with multiple service options. Start through the Liberty Tax mobile app or through the desktop portal. Make an appointment or just walk in. Give a call to upload your tax documents. And when you come in, your return will be ready to review and sign. Their number's on the screen right now, 803-462-5576. Once again, 803-462-5576. Give them a call for all of your tax needs this tax season.
Easy. Pitchers of the weekend. Let's start with Jack. What do you got? Your pitcher of the weekend.
Yeah. My pitcher of the week. I was thinking maybe everyone else would pick this, but I'm glad, you guys went different options to make me feel better about myself, I guess. I'm going Matthew Becker. I loved seeing the way he bounced back on Saturday night, second game of the doubleheader. Obviously, Friday, he pitched an inning, but, struggled a little bit. And, in that starting role in that midweek game, kind of role he's got hasn't been amazing, but I think he's really shown that he can be a big, guy, that you need in the bullpen, late innings, any spot really. I think he can do the job. And obviously this weekend, he really showed it, got in and out of multiple jams. And, once you get out one big jam, your confidence goes from probably here to just through the roof. And, I don't think you're hitting him after that. And he showed it this weekend. So kudos to him for a big performance and saving the Gamecocks in that third game.
Yeah, they don't win that game without him. And after that. So what about Joe, your pitcher of the weekend?
My pitcher of the weekend is none other than Mr. Noah Hall. We talked about him on and on and on. I mean, we can't say enough good things about Noah Gibby. 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts. Let me count that again. 10 strikeouts. He's ridiculous. It's not even fair. And he's so good. You are bringing up the question, do you change up the rotation? And obviously Twitter has their own thoughts about that. But he's just so good, Collyn. He's so good at this baseball thing. It's, played really well. And also, we talk about it every week too. Him being able to go that long, it helps give your bullpen guys some rest, having in that Saturday slot. If Mahoney or if Will struggles on Friday, it frees up your bullpen guys to get some rest for later in the weekend. If Jack struggles, Noah Hall's he's so good. Best pitcher in the rotation right now. Pitcher of the weekend by far. SEC, pitcher of the week.
Yeah,
for good reason.
Yeah, deservedly so. And I'll go, Chris, I'll do a double. I'll go Chapin boys, Chris Veach and Kate Austin. They combined, I want to say, for 4 1/3, struck out 10, were really impressive out of the bullpen. And I give it to both of them because they pitched in game 1, got about a couple hours worth of rest, and then pitched again in game 2 of the doubleheader, which is tough to do. When you've warmed up, you've pitched, you've done your arm care, you warm up again, you pitch, and it's tough. And not only did they do it, but they were productive. So this bullpen is really good, and Veach and Austin were key cogs in why they were so good this weekend. So
yeah,
I guess we'll go reverse here and go hitters of the weekend. So since I went last, I'm going to call dibs and go first.
Go ahead.
I'm going Gavin Casas
Mm-hmm.
because I know who you guys picked, and I don't want to double up. Which sounds weird because everyone's like, why isn't he doing Petrie? Someone's probably going to pick Ethan Petrie at some point. Gavin went if I'm doing the quick math in my head, he went 4 for 12. All 4 hits came in one game, though. But the most impressive part, 4 for 12 with 2 doubles, a home run, and 2 RBI. Really good with solid numbers. But the important part was he walked. He walked 3 times in that game Saturday in the win, 5-4 win. Walked 3 times. One of those was the intentional walk that set up Ethan Petry and the go-ahead hit. And the biggest one maybe was that full count walk Friday night to set up the 4-run 9th inning. Takes good at-bats. He strikes out. I mean, he struck out 4 times on the weekend, but walked a ton, hit for some power, and just a really scary bat in the top of that lineup. And he's going to get more and more RBI chances, and he's going to deliver on them.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the pick. I mean, he's arguably the hottest bat in this lineup right now, without McGillis in it. So good pick, Collyn. My hitter of the week is the good friend Evan Stone. Welcome back, Evan Stone. I must say, go Fox. Right? Is that it? Yeah, go Foxes. Welcome back, Stoner. What a weekend for him. First 2 career college home runs in the same game. Couldn't have happened to a better person. I think, for him struggling at the plate, changed his walk-up song I don't know how many times. It just he had been slumping coming into it, gets his chance and delivers in such a big way in that second game. And so I'm happy to have him back. It's good to see him back and whatnot. And I think, he really made a case, because Collyn, coming into this weekend, we didn't know who was going to play center field.
Right.
I think we know
he probably wouldn't have if McGillis doesn't get hurt. And you got to play Pippett at second.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And that definitely helps too. But, I think now, especially with the McGillis injury and Tippett going to be playing second base, I think we know who the center fielder is, and that would be Evan Stone. Congrats to him for such a big weekend and being able to break back into the lineup because, again, such a great kid. And
I called it, by the way. I don't want to toot my own horn.
You did.
But Stone walked up there before that first home run, and I look at someone in the press box and I go, Evan Stone, home run right here. Half joking just because he'd been scuffling. He hadn't hit a home run. He's a big on-base guy, gets on, does that. Doesn't hit for a whole lot of power. But I was like, you know what? I'm feeling it. Evan Stone home run. And then he goes 412 to straight center.
Yup. It was a nuke. Absolute nuke. And we're going to try to get him on here eventually.
Yeah. But I jokingly, I did call it. Like I said, Evan Stone home run and he homered. So as we wrap, Jack, you get the last words on this series and the baseball team. Yeah. Your hitter of the weekend. And there's only one choice left at this point, right?
Wait, really? So let's go with the obvious pick. It is Ethan Petry. Ethan Petry was, once again, I feel like we say this every single game, day of the year. This guy is so freaking good. And he's a freshman. That's the craziest part about this. Not some veteran senior that's, we're used to seeing this kind of performance every, season. But he's a freshman doing this stuff. I mean, he went, I think, 7 for 14 this weekend. That's, 500, 3 dingers, and I think 7 ribbies. So, you can't get a better performance out of him. And it's just, when he stepped up to the plate with that bases loaded situation, no one out, I kind of feel bad for that Missouri pitcher, just what do you do in that situation? You're not walking him. You have to pitch to him. And he just has that swagger about him, just that, I'm going to quote Baker Mayfield on this, but, feeling dangerous, like if you're Ethan Petry, you're feeling like $1 million right now. And there's just no one better in this line. I mean, there's a lot of good guys in this lineup, but I think Ethan really has shined and made a big jump from the fall. So, that's my guy of the week. And, there will be a story to come on him. So,
yes,
there's been that talk about, is he the best freshman in the country right now? I think he's arguably one of the top 3 freshmen in college baseball right now. Maybe number one. That's for the whole season to play out and let that decide it. But he's been nothing short of electric. So another great outing from him.
And Ethan Petra, I don't know if he would have told you he would have had 12 hits. If you asked him in the beginning of February, how many hits do you think you'd have through 25 games? I don't even think he'd say 12, but he has 12 home runs.
Exactly.
25.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous.
So, yeah, big shots to him. Yeah. Works his what off and just a good dude and terrible Star Wars takes, but good dude.
Yeah. So, what's his top movie, though? That's
I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was like Revenge of the Sith.
You can't go wrong with Revenge of the Sith or Empire Strikes Back. I'm an Empire guy, but
Empire Strikes Back is the only
Empire Strikes Back is the best one. Empire Strikes Back is by far and away the best one.
Yes.
By far and away the best one.
Absolutely.
Have their problems, but Revenge of the Sith is top tier.
Yeah, I agree.
It's good.
Yes. But you young whippersnappers and your Revenge of the Sith.
But Empire, man. Empire.
Yeah.
Still a classic. 40.
Return of the Jedi is pretty good, too. Yeah. That's my take.
That's enough to wrap it, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
Joe, take us home.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Take us home, Joe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Sorry, my Wi-Fi is glitching a little bit, but yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this week's edition of GC Live Foul Balls. I hope you guys all had a good time as I did. Thank you to our special guest Andrew Eyester for coming on. He was an electric guest, guys. If I do say so myself, looking forward to having him on, probably in the near future. So that was a good time. But so join us next week for we'll be here. Every Monday, 7 p.m. I may or may not be on next week because I will be at the Masters working. We will see if I'm on. If not, it'll be Jack and Collyn. I trust Jack and Collyn. You guys got this. It should be good. But yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Go catch yourself a second half.
Yes.